Some people live so fully, so selflessly, so lovingly, that even after they're gone, their light continues to shine. Amen. You can't help but celebrate such a life, and that's exactly why we are here this morning. We are all here to celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. C.O. Simpkins. It's with a very heavy and sad heart that I stand before you this morning, and I want to offer my sincerest condolences to his family. A couple of weeks ago, my family, we lost our stepfather, so I was in your seats not long ago. And I understand the pain and heartache that you're feeling right now. In October of 1990, Dr. Simpkins awoke to find his yard covered in toilet paper. His phone rang with death threats. These people were trying to pressure him to drop out of the race, but they clearly didn't know who they were dealing with. In the face of these threats, Dr. Simpkins kept the faith. He said, God placed me here for a purpose. If I don't do his will, I'll be living in vain. So he stayed the course and tried to become Shreveport's first African-American mayor. I suppose Dr. Simpkins was undeterred because he knew that he was walking in God's will. And because death threats were nothing new to him, Dr. Simpkins became the first African-American to seek public office in our area. When he ran for the school board in 1954, he was a founding member of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and marched alongside Dr. King. He had been called every name in the book. He had been shot and jailed. His home and office were firebombed in 1962, and despite all that, 28 years later, Dr. Simpkins ran for mayor because he wanted to, in his words, show that it's a new day, that people, black and white, can work together. Well, today is a new day. Shreveport has now had 3 African-American mayors, but the sun did not set on the past and rise anew all on its own. God works through people to effect change. And God's work requires sacrifice. Brave men and women like C.O. Simpkins paid for this new day with blood, sweat, and tears. He blazed a trail for us all. I am where I am, and our city is where it is, in no small part because of the sacrifices he made and the example he set for all of us. Few people leave such an incredible mark on history that the world would be a different place if not for their service, and Dr. Simpkins is undoubtedly one of those people. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this ceremony this morning. And at this time, I'm going to present a proclamation from the city of Shreveport to the family. Thank you.
To our ministers on the pulpit, to our beloved family, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am truly honored to have been asked by the family to make a tribute to a truly great man. I immediately thought of words from the poem written by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The heights of great men, reached and kept, were not attained in sudden flight, for they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward in the night. C.O. Simpkins was a great man, and I learned how great shortly after my moving to Shreveport, Louisiana. 2 weeks before Reverend Harry Blake was beaten in the Little Union Baptist Church. After a memorial service dedicated to the 4 little girls bummed and killed in 16th Street Baptist Church during a Sunday service. I soon learned that Reverend Harry had worked under the tutelage of that great man, Dr. Simpkins, who had practiced dentistry in Shreveport. A great man who had worked with Dr. King and others in the organization of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to promote equality for all. A great man who was instrumental in bringing Dr. King to Shreveport for his first visit to the Old Galilee Baptist Church, where Dr. King first used the phrase, "I have a dream." A great man who also knew the power of the vote. He, along with Dr. Blake and a number of others, visited college campuses all over this area in this state, encouraging the students to register and to early recognize the power of the vote. His dental office, I soon learned that Dr. Simpkins' life was threatened and his home had been bombed. His dental office was vandalized. His insurance for his home, office, and dental practices were canceled. And he had no choice but to move he and his family from this city that he greatly loved in order to protect them. Yes, Dr. Simpkins was a great man. Mrs. Barbara Pendleton, wife of Dr. Lewis Pendleton, recently told me that Dr. C.O. had contacted Sergeant Schreiber, brother-in-law of President John Kennedy and head at that time of the Peace Corps, to have Dr. Lewis Pendleton released from the United States Air Force, where he was stationed at Shreveport Air Force Base to come to buy Dr. Simpkins' office. Dr. Pendleton was immediately released of that service and came to Shreveport. Dr. Simpkins could not return at that time to finalize the sale because it was not safe for him to do so. So the sale was handled by attorney Jerome Powell in the absence of Dr. Simpkins. In 1968, when King was killed, Dr. King, I, along with a delegation from Shreveport, journeyed to Atlanta for the funeral. The day of the funeral, some of us gathered on the curb across the street from Ebenezer Baptist Church while the service was being conducted. On that plane flight the day before to Atlanta, Mamie Love, Dean Stone, myself, and a number of others traveled. We was gathered there on that curb while the service was being conducted. It was a sad, sad day. However, I became so excited when Dr. Pendleton, who had become like a big brother to me, came out of Ebenezer Baptist Church after the service, accompanied by C.O. Simpkins. I immediately recognized who he was from previous pictures. I believed he was living in New York at the time. They were marching in the procession right behind the family and Harry Belafonte, singing "We Shall Overcome" and all a number of other spirituals. I, along with several others from Shreveport, started walking and we were about a block behind them. When we reached the Morehouse campus, where the body would remain for a period, we heard a loud voice howling at the top of their voices. And we went to the edge of the campus and looked down, and there walked Bobby Kennedy, who unfortunately had been shot and killed just 2 months later. To me, Dr. Simpkins was greater than himself. Dr. Lewis Pendleton introduced me to Dr. Simpkins on that day and at that time. I will never shall forget that moment. In the late 80s, Dr. Simpkins and his beloved wife Elaine returned to Shreveport, Louisiana, and they became so involved in our community. I was so privileged to serve as the co-chair with Mike Wainwright for Seal's campaign when he ran for mayor of the city. When, as our mayor has just said, he was the strongest minority African-American candidate to run for that office. He won in the primary, but in a very close, tight run, he lost. But this did not deter him from serving. He later ran and was elected to the State House of Representatives, where he served with distinction. Willie Bradford has talked so often about how CO has been so concerned about others and all that he could do to help them. He was concerned about residents on the Cooper Road and the limited health services, and he donated acres of land so that Willis Knighton could build the Martin Luther King Health Center. Dr. Simpkins, along with Reverend Harry Blake, Reverend C.